Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. What can I get for you?
I need a tragedy that occurred in front of thousands of people. Maybe, I don't know, wrestling related?
Pull up to the second window and we'll see you next crime.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. I am John, here with Jamie. Merry Christmas?
Is
Question
it?
Mark?
Yeah, I think today's Christmas Day, which we I guess we could have put a Christmas episode out there, but we're trying to provide this content so that you can have something to listen to either when you're traveling to or from seeing family, or you just need to avoid them for a few minutes. I gotta catch up on my true crime cast and go to the other room.
I love these 10-minute episodes. I mean, they're great for just a small retreat. Like if you're with your family and they're driving you nuts, just pretend like you're on the phone and listen to this 10-minute podcast.
And a short commute, man. You're just driving across town to see a relative, to see a friend, run into the store to grab some cranberry sauce. It's sauce, right? It's cranberry something?
Yeah, that's
Cranberry
very Thanksgiving-ish, but whatever.
I don't know. Like, isn't Christmas food the same as Thanksgiving food? Not the topic for today, but I do love these, which means we have to get to today's episode. John, get us rolling.
Today, we are going to start our Vince McMahon series. All right.
Yep.
So Vince McMahon, we're going to be talking about him for a little while. In fact, we're even going to make our Patreon episode about Vince McMahon. It will be the very first part of a 3-part series. It doesn't tie into part 2 or 3. So if you don't join Patreon, you're still going to be okay. But if you want to learn more about his beginning of WWF and some steroid use and some trials that he went through legally, you definitely want to join Patreon to get first part of that one. But today we're going to be talking about Owen Hart. Owen Hart was born May 7th, 1965 in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He was the son of Stu Hart, who famously trained many wrestlers, including friend of the show, Chris Jericho, in the Hart family dungeon. That sounds ominous.
Oh, it is.
Is that their like dojo of sorts?
Yeah, it's their training center. Lots of people have trained there.
Owen was the youngest of 12 children, and one of his older brothers is the famous Bret the Hitman Hart. Owen was famous in the WWE world for his blue blazer gimmick. Do you want to talk more about that? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was basically he put on a blue mask and was kind of a silly character at that time. Everybody goes through gimmicks and phases and that kind of thing. And this was one for him. And that's what he was in at the time of his death. There were other times when he was just Bret's brother, but here he was the blue blazer.
In 1999, Owen was slated to appear in the Over the Edge pay-per-view event. He was going to be lowered down from the rafters on a cable and into the ring as the Blue Blazer. This is a stunt Owen had done in the past, but did not like doing it. It made him very nervous. I mean, just thinking about it makes me nervous. On this night, Owen was using a new quick-release harness. While the arena was darkened during the airing of a video piece about this match, Owen's harness accidentally released, and he fell 78 feet to the ring, hitting the ropes and landing on his back on the mat. This was tragic.
Yeah, this is one of those cutaway things where it's showing you like what's led up to this match. But when it cut back to the cameras, you see they went to the announce table. That's where you see legendary commentator Jim Ross, often known as Good Old JR. And he had to say when they came back, ladies and gentlemen, something went terribly wrong. This is not part of the entertainment here tonight. This is real as real can be. John, I was watching this event, and when it comes to wrestling, you just assume everything's part of the show, but it was very clear on their faces, the announcers, and then the talent after that. Because, John, they kept going. But he fell. They never showed him in the ring. They kept it on the announcers and backstage until they had cleared it out. But there was a blood spot on the ring, and they kept going. It was JR and Jerry the King Lawler there. Jerry, his face was as wide as could be, said it doesn't look good at all. after several attempts to revive him, he died on the way to the hospital from internal bleeding due to the blunt force trauma. The sudden impact severed his aorta and filled his lungs with blood. It was in front of a huge crowd of 20 to 30,000 people, and Owen Hart did this and died when he was just 34 years old.
In a move that remains controversial to this day, Vince McMahon decided to continue the show. I mean, the mantra is the show must go on, right? But about an hour after the fall, JR was charged with telling the viewers on air that Owen Hart had died. I mean, we've watched so much wrestling, so you knew 100% that this was legit when it was happening, or was there a part of you that thought this might be
it definitely, I think at that point you're hoping it was part of the script, but it definitely felt different and felt real, and you're worried about it. And John, I actually was on the air broadcasting a basketball game when Kobe Bryant died. Now, certainly different. He wasn't in the building. He wasn't in front of us, and we weren't there to talk about Kobe Bryant, but I don't know, like that was a gut punch to me for reasons I've talked about in other venues, but having to say that, and I don't know, it feels like everything's quiet in your head. I don't know. That's a weird way to say it.
Yeah. JR found out about 10 seconds before he had to make the difficult statement on air. And he said, and I quote, "I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died. Owen Hart has tragically died from the accident here tonight." End quote. JR has since said that call was the toughest thing he's ever done. Grieving wrestlers were told to continue in the ring, even with Owen's blood still on the mat. Ooh, man. This was a pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
I did not have, my parents did not like wrestling, so little John did not get to watch this event, but I heard about it, recalled.
Well, we're not going into the legality of my acquisition of this footage, but yeah, I was watching when it happened, and it was wild. I remember the next day at school, people coming in and saying, "Oh, I watched it happen. I saw him fall." I was like, I watched it, and it never showed him fall. There is no footage, to my knowledge, that's ever been released of him falling. So people knew what happened even before smartphones.
Because, yeah, like you said, because this was the age before like smartphones, but there were definitely phones. People at home knew that Owen was dead, but the live audience left the arena not knowing the news. So they didn't, did they not make a big announcement in the
stadium?
TV? Just
on TV. I think that was part of Vince's decision to continue the show.
They eventually told reporters that it was disgusting and messed up to finish the show. Owen's brother and fellow wrestler Bret Hart said continuing the show was very cold-blooded. The pay-per-view event was never commercially released on home video like they sometimes would be, but it did become available on the WWE network in 2014, which is like basically a streaming service of every wrestling event ever.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore either. They sold out to Peacock. Now they're on Netflix. It's a big thing.
Yeah. It included a short memorial in the beginning, but all the footage and mention of Owen Hart had been edited out.
So here's the legal part. The Hart family later sued the WWE as well as the manufacturer of the harness due to A, the dangerous nature of this stunt, and B, the lack of testing and lack of safety of this equipment. An investigation did show that the harness malfunctioned, that the quick release feature may have been triggered by something as simple as Owen adjusting his cape. After a year and a half, a settlement was reached on November 2nd of the year 2000. The WWE paid the estate of Owen Hart $18 million. The harness manufacturer was dropped from the case after the settlement. Owen's widow, Martha, used some of the settlement money to establish the Owen Hart Foundation. This Calgary-based organization provides university and college scholarships to children in need, as well as housing for low-income families. Martha has continued to criticize the WWE and has been reluctant to let them use Owen's name or likeness, including shutting down the potential to put him in the WWE Hall of Fame.
There have been other scandals over the years of WWE. We've talked about some of them. One of those included the murder-suicide of Chris Benoit, the death of Jimmy Snuka's girlfriend, and the plane ride from hell. But we simply don't have the time to get into all of those today. But 2025 is a long year.
And in the next few weeks, we're going to focus on the accusations against Vince and the WWE that are mostly sexual in nature, but those are current pieces of litigation. So we're going to dive into those and do that at full length. But this is the first step in that Vince McMahon series, and it's been a crime story in 10 minutes or less.
Would you like crime with that?
You've listened to True Crimecast, distributed by Stoveleg Media. Check out stoveleg.com to find out more about your hosts and to find other podcasts to listen to. Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.